welcome back. So I'm showing you here a 20 ounce modern curve. I am going to be doing a 30 ounce straight or skinny, but I am showing you that I only had this burnt orange, this fire orange I think they call it, and I did not have any red, so I sprayed it with this red glitter spray that I got at Walmart on the clearance. I was like, oh, I could use that. You know, it doesn't give much coverage, but I thought it would give me a hint of red, and then, you know, it'd have that glitter in there. So I thought it would be, you know, I thought it would work. And then obviously I took a tiny bit of epoxy and put epoxy all over these, and then just glittered them with blood from the Glitter Ranch. This is part of the Outlaw bundle, kind of a Halloween themed. It comes with Galaxy and Kumquat and Villainous, blood and spiders, and a glow powder. So it's a really worth, I went over it last week in my video about with the Kumquat, and so this I'm using blood here. It is amazing. It really, honestly, on camera it does not show as blood red and cool as it is in person, because I kept trying to take a picture in this light and that light and this light. In person it really has that deep, I just wanted that like deep dark blood red, you know. I don't know, that was just my vision for this color, and I really believe that it, you know, really came through, and it made both of these styles for both of these themes really come through, and I really loved how it came out. And nothing too hard here. I just literally doused them all. There was no ombreing or anything like that. Just doused them in the glitter. So this is the 20 ounce modern curve, and this is what I decided to do with this. I had a really fun decal that Alana at Alana's gift shop, she had created in her new fall Halloween theme, and I took it outside. I was like, well, I don't really want to do like the blood splatter, so I started off with the whole thing as, you know, the red color, and then I put 2 coats of epoxy, and then I took it outside and was like, I'll do the power wash, and then we'll have some of that splatter look, but just do it opposite, right? So then we'll have that coming through as a splatter. Well, when I was putting it on there, I was like, oh, I need a full on, you know, spot where I can put my sticker. So I came through after and like smeared it off, and it really didn't like the way that it did not react well. So I let that dry, and then I came back and I did another coat of the power wash and of the paint, and it definitely came through a lot better, but I still had to do a lot of you know, taking it off, distressing and that kind of thing. So I did have to go back inside and like really show off some of that red glitter underneath. Okay, I already went ahead and distressed this and took off some of the paint and kind of revealed some of the glitter here. The reason I'm not going into it right now is because I am going to go into it a little bit later when we go over the vampire cup. And so I didn't want to do it twice. So you will see more of that a little bit later on. And I found this at Alana's gift shop. This decal here is part of her new Halloween fall themed group that she has, and it's so cute. It has a little bit of leopard in the print there. You can kind of see it, and it says True Crime Junkie. So I thought this would be a really fun design to put this decal on, and I actually just put it on right over the paint because I wasn't really worried about if the paint was going to peel up or anything. So I just put it on right over there, and then I put 2 coats of epoxy. And then we were done. Unless you wanted to put a name, that cup is done. So now we get into the fun stuff. Now, I know you have seen me do plenty of crackles by this point, but I just love it. And when I did the bee tumbler and I did the crackle on that, I honestly, that was about when I decided that I wanted to do this for a Halloween cup. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do this blood red color underneath and then do a black crackle on top, and then make it really old and distressed looking and you know, like it came out of some kind of 300-year-old tomb that with vampires were in there. You know, I just had this vision and I wanted to see it come true. And so Becky helped me with the glitter and I'm so happy how it came out. So I'm using the Christy Taylor paints. They're just that beautiful chalky. They dry so fast and I knew it would be perfect for this. Now it did give me a little bit of a different finish. So it was a little more, I don't know how you want to say it, like, kind of like a tar. I don't know. It reacted a little bit differently. I don't know if it was black, if it was the black color. I don't know if it was, I didn't shake it up enough. I'm not sure. Or I don't know if it was just the look of it. Maybe they all look that way. And it's because it was black. It just looked different. I don't know. But it just kind of seemed to me a little bit different. But it was good because it added to that feel of this just old crusty cup that, you know, was sitting in some kind of tomb somewhere. And so in all, it turned out exactly the way that I was envisioning in my mind and everything. But I just wanted to let y'all know, if you do go this route, that it does feel a little bit different than the other ones. Now, I'm not sure why that is, but it worked. So as you can see, as I was blabbing on, I was taking a coffee filter and I was taking acetone. I have acetone in the one down here, and then the one with the purple top is alcohol. Now you always want to have that alcohol because you want to clean that paint off. When you take the acetone, it's going to take that paint off, but it is going to leave just a yucky, filmy look, especially black or whatever color. It's going to look discolored and that kind of thing. So you definitely want to take the alcohol and go about cleaning it up after you take that paint off. So I decided to go ahead and get rid of the coffee filters, and I started using paper towels because I was just going to be going through like 100 coffee filters basically, because they weren't big enough. They weren't like thick enough to really hold enough acetone and really give me I don't even know how you would say it, but you know, like I just needed something that was like bigger and heavier that I could take that paint off, because like I was saying, the consistency of it was a little bit different than the ones that I've used in the past. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe I put the Crackle on different. I don't know. But I mean, all in all, it was fine. I needed a little bit something with a little more substance to take that paint off. So as you can see, I did the same exact thing with the True Crime. I just took acetone, alcohol, and I just took it off. I took the paint off wherever I thought, you know, there was already a little spot kind of opening up, or just, you know, I want to expose some here, or, you know, hey, it works off, you know, I'm going to push it up this way and push it down this way. And then I decided that where I was going to put my decal, and that's where you always want to make sure you're figuring out where you're going to put your main focus in, and then, you know, make sure you don't take it off or whatever the case may be, if it's either or. So this was a little more in depth because that black paint and the red, I really wanted it to come through, and I was really trying to make it look very distressed and old and, you know, that kind of thing. So I found this decal off of Etsy. I will definitely link it down below. And this had pretty much the feel that I wanted. So I wanted it to look like an old sticker that was, you know, printed 300 years ago or something, or maybe painted on or whatever. So I wanted that old feel to it, and the color was already there. That's exactly the color that it came in, so that worked out perfectly. But I printed it on cardstock so that I could have a thicker, it wasn't like a thick cardstock, it was like maybe 65 pounds, I guess. So I wanted to have it be thicker. I didn't want to do vinyl because I didn't want it to be an actual sticker. I wanted it to feel like it was glued on or painted. You know, I don't know. I don't know what kind of process they dealt with back in those days, but I knew the look that I was going for. And so I was very inspired by Interview with a Vampire. So it's one of my favorite movies. I know it's controversial, I'm sure, but I just love that movie, and I think there's great acting and everything in it. Well, you know the scene where Antonio Banderas and Brad Pitt go down into that tomb and all these vampires are down there? That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, if they found that tomb 300 years later, they would have something like this just resting there, you know, just kind of tilted over and blood was spilled out and dried or whatever. And so I'm not a big fan of Halloween. I do love vampires, so it's kind of controversial. I mean, contradictory, I guess, but but I love vampires. And so I wanted to create this old antique chalice, if you will. And so I took Mod Podge, and like you could see there, I just distressed that cardstock. So I just took it and rolled it and tore it and scraped it and all of that, just to give it this worn, affected look. And I actually used Mod Podge to glue it on, and then I went back and used a chalkboard Mod Podge because it has much more of a matte finish and it's a lot thicker. And so I put this on with Mod Podge, and then I was like, okay, I'll let that dry, and then I'm going to use the chalkboard stuff. Well, I end up putting my finger on here because it was kind of like bubbling up, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to push it down with my finger. Well, as soon as I touched my finger on there, it completely peeled up the printing. So at first I was like, okay, maybe it's torn, whatever. It's peeling up, so I was kind of going over it like, okay, well, maybe we can leave this. Maybe it'll work, maybe it'll work with the design. So I just kind of continued to look and see if I could find any of the bubbles. And then I touch it again and I was like, are you kidding me? So I just took it, and this is why you print two, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you print two, because this happens and then you decide, nope, gotta start over. So I started over, distressing, tearing, rolling, ripping. I wasn't sure if they would have had like white paper. I was pretty sure they wouldn't have had like white paper and then printed it on there. It would probably been like painted on or something like that. And so I didn't want the white to show. So when I tore it, I just kind of like flipped it back and forth just to kind of give it like that torn look, but not to show too much of the white paper underneath. So I was trying to be as authentic as I could. So this was, the distressing was a lot of fun because I just was like kind of ripping it here and tearing it here and rolling it and, just really trying to give it some, a look, just that look of this old-timey, anytime you think about vampires, or anytime I think about vampires, I think of them being old and, living in different times and things like that. So this is why I wanted that look to come through. And so this time I was not going to touch it, and I was actually going to start off with the chalkboard Mod Podge. I used this several times for like antiquing type stuff when I was doing different types of crafts. And so I already had this, and I thought, I'm going to use that because it's like really thick, and I thought it would give me that look. Even though when you put epoxy on there, it's going to shine up, but I just thought it would give that underneath kind of feel of a, antique look. So after I got done the paint, I put the little label on there and did all my antiquing and everything. I put a coat of epoxy. Immediately, I was like, we're going to put a coat of epoxy because we want to seal all this in. We don't want to be messing with it. We don't want to do anything else at this point without protecting it and protecting all that work that we did. So I was going to label this like the most expensive cup you'll ever make. Because I ended up buying like all of these things, and I was like, it's going to be, $50 to buy all this stuff for this cup. Hopefully you'll make a bunch, and so, you'll make your money back. But I mean, this is just conceptual. It's basically like, use all these things, use one or two, whatever. But I had those rhinestones there, and they were like teardrops, drops of blood kind of thing. And then I got these wax sealers. So basically, like if you wanted to write an old letter and seal it up with some kind of stamp, some kind of, you know, family crest or something like that, this is what this stuff is for. The link is down below. It's called sealing wax, and this one is actually in the color blood. And so I was like, it's perfect. And it does have a little bit of a shimmer to it. And so you just put it in your hot glue gun and you do it just like hot glue. And this was going to be my drips. Now, the drips, I did not go crazy with the drips. I didn't want them to be like all the way around. I didn't want them to be just completely overtaking the design. The idea behind my, you know, purpose here starts from when I was talking about before. I wanted this to be a cup that was in a tomb somewhere, and you found it, and there's like dried blood dripping down the sides because people were like drinking out of it. And, you know, I just wanted just a subtle kind of look to it. And so that's why I just did the drips just ever so slightly around the cup. Now, at first I was trying to show y'all, like laying it down, and I was trying to show you how I put them on there. Well, that was not working with the look that I was going for. So I ended up standing it up just like this, and then just putting it right at the top of the cup there, and just squirting it out and piling it, you know, just kind of letting it drip down. And my best thing that I did was when I did like 2 or 3 drips down one of them. Oh man, it looked so cool. Now this would also be fantastic because it does kind of look like candle wax, but you know, it's there. The idea is there. Hopefully everybody gets it. But if you wanted to do a candle, this would be amazing. That sealing wax would be perfect, or hot glue, or if you wanted to paint them, you know, paint the hot glue or whatever. But this was a specific purpose that I had, and this worked out so awesome. And I got these spiders and these little drips because I was going to add them in there just like if it was, you know, spiders were crawling around on the cup and that kind of thing. So I end up adding those after I add all of the drips. But this is just to have fun, you know, just have fun with the drips. I ended up putting a couple on the bottom. I was just trying it out. But this is like uber easy to take off. You just peel it off and wipe it down with some alcohol and you're done. It's no big deal. Definitely have to seal these with some epoxy because they do not, they come off very easily. You could easily pick it off, you know, that kind of thing. So there it is. That's what I did. And see how that one is like dripping and dripping and dripping. That's like if you do like 2 or 3 drips at the same time. And so, I just love it. I love the way it came out. So now we're going to work about where we're going to put our spiders and where we're going to put our drips. Now these spiders were black, and I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked for bats. And the only bats that I could find, I thought there was a couple of them in the little mix that were really small, but when I got them in, they were way bigger in person than they were, you know, than they looked on the screen or, you know, on the Amazon ad or whatever. So ended up going with the spiders, and I thought, you know, spiders, you could do a lot with spiders, different, you know, Halloween stuff. So I used the drops, the little crystal drops. I just kind of put those, scattered them about on different parts. I didn't want to put too many because they were crystals and didn't really look like actual blood, but I just wanted to add a little something sparkly, you know, a little something else. I don't know, but I love the way they look because they're like a true teardrop, so it looks like it's just dripping from where it was before, you know, that kind of thing. So I love how all of this whole thing turned out. I cannot get over how much I love it. And just like when I did the bee tumbler, I made sure that wherever I put the stones, it was going to be where your hands were not going to be. So I kind of picked it up and held it to make sure that I was like, okay, if I, you know, I can hold it here and here, and I'm not going to have a spider that's going to be, you know, scratching me or something like that. So just be mindful of that whenever you are putting things on the cup. You know, somebody at some point hopefully will be using the cup, so just, you know, take that into consideration. Now, one thing I will say that I was a little bit disappointed. Now, I don't, more just disappointed, not disappointing, and not disappointed in any product that I purchased or anything. Just that I put it over those spiders, and the epoxy just gobbled it up, basically. I don't know if it just, they had too many like little crevices or something. I mean, you can still see it's kind of a spider, but they just really genuinely just kind of got lost in the epoxy. I don't know if it was the black color with the on the black, that kind of thing, just being dark cup. I'm not sure. If you do decide to do the spiders, I would maybe, which is what I should have done, and I think I thought about it and then I just forgot, but like take a little like toothpick or something, maybe kind of try to peel some of that epoxy, you know, or, you know, pick some of that epoxy out of where those spiders are, because it really did get just like almost like a well in the middle of that, those little spiders. So, and I will say that the drips, I thought I was really going over the drips. I thought I was really going over to the edge, but I did not. I missed like 3 or 4 spots. So this is something that you definitely want to make sure you are being extremely mindful when you're putting the epoxy on here. But I put this coat on and I ended up missing like 3 spots where the drips were and that kind of thing. So I went and I sanded down the rim. I'm also still made sure that there was like a rim there that you could, you know, have a final coat. And then I cleaned it and everything. And then I put a whole new fresh, you know, coat of epoxy, a final coat of epoxy, because I couldn't leave it with the rim exposed, and then also because I needed to cover up some of those drips and really finish the job of the full layer of epoxy. And that's it. You got like 1 or 2 final coats of epoxy on this one. I love that I didn't have to mess with any of the splatter effect, and it still gave you that effect and really looks very true crime-ish. And I also added some red sparkle additive, which gave it a little kick. And this one is just, I just absolutely love it. I'm obsessed with it. I don't want to give it away. I don't want to sell it. I want it to be my Halloween cup for all time. So please join my group. Please comment, and I will see you next time.